So they fired me. Welcome back to the channel. If you are returning, if you are new here, my name is Amber, also known as AJ the Realtor. I am a real estate agent here in the state of Ohio. I specialize in the city of Columbus and surrounding areas. My goal here in the state of Ohio as a realtor is to help families not only find the home of their dreams, but also, more importantly, to create generational wealth for their children as well as their children. And so if you are wanting to know what happened, I'm getting ready to tell you. So there's a huge backstory. I am going to make this as brief as possible because those of you that know me know that I can talk. And so I got fired for the very first time. I was working for a primary healthcare system here in the city of Columbus. I'm leaving names out, but I will say that if you are wanting to know where specifically I worked, I will share that with you privately. I have no problem doing that. Let's just be clear. So I was working for a primary healthcare system here in the city of Columbus, and I unfortunately had to take this job because I was not focused. I was not aligned mentally or spiritually with the path that had already been set out for me. And I had ran out of time and unfortunately had to pick up a full-time job Monday through Friday, which is the last thing that I wanted to do. So I was working, doing telephonic nursing. For those of you that may be new, I do have a background in nursing. And so I was, taking calls that were coming in from patients and things like that. Not going to go into too much detail. So anyway, I worked there for a few months. It was less than a year. I don't remember how long. And from the time that I took the job up until the time that I left was the most depressing and stressful time in my life. This was the most mentally draining job, most spiritually draining job, demeaning job that I have ever had in my life. I had to take the job, and so that was probably a precursor for how things were going to be throughout the entire experience. Now, usually, I have been through enough in my life to know that there are lessons that we are supposed to learn in everything that we do. And so that was something that I was focused on. A lot of my friends / colleagues, when I would vent to them, I would let them know what was going on, and they would pretty much affirm the same thing. There's something you're supposed to learn, things like that. And so I tried to focus on that. Now, what ended up happening is a lot of the depression and stress started to weigh that down. And so I was focusing more on how I was feeling at that job as opposed to what I was supposed to be learning. And so that kind of tells you where I was working, my feelings leading up to getting let go. So I ended up putting in my 2 weeks notice because during the time that I was having these feelings, I was venting to my husband pretty much every other day, like in tears. But actually, no, not in tears venting. I was venting to him, but as it got to the end, I eventually broke down to my husband and expressed to him how much I actually literally hated the job. And so once he really understood the gravity of the situation, that is when I began looking for other places of employment. Now, the unfortunate part of it is not only did I not want this job, I did not want to have another job because I am a realtor. And so I am supposed to be moving out of that rat race of 9 to 5 so that I can, not move on to this venture because I already was a realtor, but be able to step into that role full time. And the 9 to 5 was just going to get in the way of that. So I had to swallow my pride because unfortunately it was me, that messed it up. Before I even had to take this particular job, I had been out of work, and the focus while I was out of work was supposed to be real estate and hunkering down and focusing, going full force into real estate. And I didn't do that because I was mentally somewhere else. I wasn't really focused on that. I was focused on doing other things and catching up on other things that I didn't get to do when I was working full time. I ended up putting in my 2 weeks notice because I was able to find a job that, one, I didn't mind doing, and two, I wouldn't have to devote so much time to it. And so it was really like a balance between the two. One moment. Oh, yes, it was really like a balance between the two. I was able to do real estate. It would allow me the time to do real estate, and also it would allow me the time to spend with my family and not feel like I was 100% an employee, and things like that. So I put in my notice, and as soon as my supervisor then got the email that I sent, because we were working from home, so I couldn't just take the paper to her. So as soon as she got the email, she called me and she tried to tell me that she wasn't accepting my 2 week notice now, or that she wasn't going to turn it in, is what it is. Now, what she didn't realize is that I had blind CC'd her boss and let both of them know at the same time what was going on. So, it didn't matter that you felt like you weren't going to turn it in. She's already aware what's going on. So during that particular time, it was a lot of jobs were doing that, where they would do like work from home for, however long, and then you would go into the office. And so we had it set up to where the first half of the alphabet, like A through G or whatever, they were working in the office, and then the other half of the alphabet was working at home, and then we would flip-flop. So I turned that in. I tried to time it to where when I went back to I turned in my 2 week notice, and then when I went back to the office, I could just turn in my equipment and be done with it. Well, what ended up happening is I put in my 2 weeks notice. I went back into the office, and the day that I had to go in the office to work, I ended up being late. And so I worked that day. I usually got off at 4 o'clock. And so at 3 o'clock, I get a message from my supervisor that Human Resources wants to meet with me in one of the conference rooms. I said, okay. And I said, is there anything that I need to bring? Do I need to bring a pen, paper, anything like that? She's like, I'm not sure, but just bring it just in case. So I said, okay. I said, can you let me know, what this is about? Because I don't like to be caught off guard. I'm not that type of person. If I'm in trouble or something like that, I would like to know ahead of time. I got no response from her. I messaged my husband. I said, I think they're getting ready to let me go. And he was like, what do you mean? And I was letting him know what happened. And he was like, okay, well, just keep me updated. So the time comes for me to have to meet with them. And they hand me a sheet of paper, and they said that you put in your 2 weeks notice, and we have a policy here that if you put in that 2 weeks notice, you are not allowed to do the following things, which my supervisor told me I wasn't allowed to request off. If I tried to use my PTO, I would be terminated. If I called off, then I would be terminated. Fine, I get it. But they did not tell me that if I was late, I would be terminated. I was a few minutes late that day. So a week before my actual 2 weeks notice, the last day, they fired me. I signed the piece of paper. I said, thank you so much. They're like, do you have any questions? I'm like, no, you guys have a great day. I walked out of there feeling amazing because one, not only did I already have a job lined up, but you guys just relieved me emotionally, physically, spiritually of this burden. It just flew up off of me and just left. I was so relieved. And my husband was like, I forget what he said. I let my dad know what was going, because my dad knew exactly how I was feeling about that job. And he was just like, you know, it is what it is. And so what I learned from that experience is that a lot of times when we are supposed to be learning lessons, we're so focused on the emotion of things. I was supposed to be learning something quickly from this job, but I was so caught up in the emotion of not wanting to be there that I was not able to see that this was one, you know, me being penalized for, I told you guys before, what I was supposed to be doing, why I had been out of work for a couple of months. And so I feel like God was like, let me teach you a lesson real quick. And so instead of, you know, hitting the ground running, getting real estate going, really going at that time, I ended up having to get another job, and then, you know, having to try to figure out, oh my God, I have to work this 9 to 5. How am I supposed to do real estate around this? I was just like, I hate it. But I was missing the point that sometimes you have to be forced into it. And I am so grateful for that. You know, it's unfortunate that I had to go through that experience, but I am grateful that I did go through that experience because it allowed me to see where I never want to be again. I never want to be in that space, depression wise again, you know, being somewhere that I hate, somewhere like the employees, they didn't really like me that much. That's because I was not supposed to be there. I was literally not supposed to be there at all. And so I had to suffer through it. And then I got forced out of the job because God was like, listen, this is what I'm trying to show you. You're focused on this over here. Now I need to get you out of here so that you can know exactly where I want you to be. You know, some of us pick up on things faster than others. Some of us are a little hard-headed. Me, I am very hard-headed. And so that happened. I am grateful that I'm not in that situation anymore. I am thankful to be in a situation where I am able to focus on real estate now. And, you know, at the end of this year, like, my goal is to not have to work for anybody at all, part-time or otherwise, just for myself, just running my businesses. My husband has things that he wants to do. And, you know, I want to be able to fully support him in that as far as what needs to be done for our children, because right now, you know, I'm doing real estate. I have my notary business. I do YouTube. And then I also, you know, our kids are homeschooled. And so what he does is he works Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And so during the week, he is responsible for the homeschooling. And so his grandmother and him, they take care of the homeschooling. I, you know, do the things that I have to do. And so, you know, if he's not able to do things, I need to be available to be able to, you know, get our kids taken care of the way they need to be taken care of. And so these things are going to happen. As I said in my last video, you know, I am doing things that in my business and in my life now that I didn't do before, that I wasn't willing to do before. And sometimes we have to do that in order to get ourselves to the next level. So I hope that somebody got something out of this video. I know that I was probably all over the place, but the thing is, you know, this is my life, and on this channel, life, family, and career is what we share. And so I would like you guys to share some experiences with me. Have you been fired from a job? How did you feel? Were you sad? Did you feel relieved? What did you learn from that? What happened after that? I would love to know down in the comments. And as usual, I thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. My information is going to be down below. All of my social media, all of my email addresses and contact information for my businesses are going to be down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.